Hey David.
Hi, Rahul. How are you?
Good. How are you feeling?
Pretty good.
So you've been here since 3 a.m., right?
Since 3 a.m. I'll go pretty early.
Yeah, well, that's what it takes, I guess. Really excited to have you sit down for a couple minutes. I know you're really busy, so sorry to take you away from that work. But we're just trying to give our viewers a little bit of an understanding about some of the technical challenges, and just like a little bit of the human side, right? It's just so hard to do what you guys do. I think it's great for people to get to know you a little bit better. So maybe David, if you can tell everyone a little bit about who you are and your background, maybe some of your experiences in your life and career that led to this point. That'd be really awesome.
Yeah, cool. I well, I was born in Nicaragua. My parents immigrated here when I was little. Grew up in Toronto. Been living there since I was little, so I'm a Toronto boy. Um, and went to university at Ryerson University. Um, and I took electrical and computer engineering there, and I just graduated from that. After my undergrad, I did my master's. Then after that, I graduated from my master's, and the first job was I was never thought about going to working in the space industry, but it just so happened there was an opportunity, and I took it at MDA, and
This is right after your master's.
yeah,
So right out of school, you went to MBA?
yeah.
Nice. And for a lot of folks may not know what MDA is. Maybe you're going to get into that. So just a little background. What's MDA famous for? What do they do?
MDA was famous for the Canadarm. That's their glory days, and also they did a lot of shuttle, a lot of help. They helped a lot in the shuttle program. And so I got there. When I got there, I was working on FPGA work, and I was doing cameras for them. I did a lot of integration and testing. I did
Hardware that went to space.
hardware to went into space. One of the cameras, and I also the last thing I was there for, I was helping out with GSC of the for the camera that for the operations of the Canadarm 3,
Ground support.
ground support, and also test boards. So yeah, it was a great opportunity. I had really great mentors there.
And you joined MDA when it was actually quite small.
Yeah, it was small. It was like maybe 120 or so before they grew. So it was you had uh, close connections with your coworkers and your mentors.
And how many people roughly is MDA now, if you recall?
Oh, they're up in the 2000s or more.
So it goes to show, right? Like everything starts small. We talk about MDA, an amazing kind of Canadian story, right? They built a Canada arm, are kind of the Canada's success story in space from like an engineering and business standpoint. David joined when there were about 100 people, now 2,000. So everything starts small and then it becomes a lot bigger. That's awesome. You also worked on some, I guess, biotech related things, right? While you were at MD.
Yes. There was two. I worked with again integration testing with the synaptic arm, and that was basically an arm that had a camera, and it helped surgeons do operations on the spine. So I helped out on that, and also the last I was a electrical lead on uh, this base. I guess sorry, I keep thinking it's called Power Blaze, but it's micro prep. So everyone knows what it is. It's basically it gives astronauts the ability to do DNA tests and blood sample tests on station. So you don't have to have like basically a lab. It's basically a lab on chip, and it works with microfluidics. So I was the electrical lead on that, helping make that happen.
That's so interesting because if I were to zoom into that a little bit, people a question I don't really get that as much these days. I think people have really started to like dial into just how valuable space is for life on Earth. Our own mission is really to advance life on Earth from space, and those kinds of innovations, microfluidics, lab on chip type stuff that you first test in space, that all comes down to Earth, and that helps people, in remote locations or low income locations and things like that, emergency situations. And it's really interesting to hear like a space company working on technologies like that, and you had a direct impact on it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like that's one of the things that I love about doing work in space is not it's not just about, exploring space, but it's also being able to, advance the technology, help advance technologies here on Earth as well.
Exactly, and I think, like our own Canadian Space Agency, that's, something that they really do a lot of as well. You look at some of the projects that they develop and support, not just kind of the Canadarm and things like that, but projects, related to, like food and agriculture or like medical applications and things like that. Now, obviously, we're really focused right now at NordSpace on getting, stuff to space so that we can actually perform that research and experiments, support our national security, support our environment, support remote communication systems and things like that. So let's now talk a little bit about NordSpace. Um, you spent so just to be clear, David was at MDA for over a decade. Now this is like a really mature
Yeah.
company. I love that. And you jumped headfirst into an environment that's like a stark contrast from this like large profession, very professional organization to a effectively a startup. Now I know we do a lot of things that are we really punch above our weight. Um, how did you make that decision? To this day, I still find that fascinating.
Yeah. Again, I've always, people who know me and like my friends and stuff like that, they always known that I kind of have my, my own spirit. I do what I like, and I don't always often, follow, the herd or the curve. So I mean, MBA was great opportunity, and that's what it was. Getting the ability to learn from some mentors that were really good in the industry, and develop your skill set, and that's how I looked at it. And then there was the side of me that always loved entrepreneurship and like being able to like help start a company or like start your own company. And again, like it was something that when I heard about what you guys, NorthSpace was, starting to, I'm like, oh, like that's awesome. Like there was a lot of NBA is really known for what they've done, but I always felt we could do more and push boundaries more and do like I feel our generation needed something different. Canarm is great, but I always felt like it was the previous generation's gold medal, and I felt like our generation needed that that next level, and do something for ourselves and do something really big that will engrave our generation in history a bit. So yeah, I wanted to do also some entrepreneurship, help build a company, not just look at it from get a certain amount of money and you just spend a little bit and get some money. So yeah, I took entrepreneurship courses, and I wanted to take those skill sets that I was learning in entrepreneurship course and then apply them at work. And it just that's what North Space provided me, and that opportunity. And I thought it was great. So I took it. I dived in head first, and yeah, it's something that I wanted to do.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. We're so grateful to have you here, David. I One of the things that I think uh like you and I really kind of synced up on when you first joined NordSpace was I've always said at the end of every presentation that I've done, and I've always like it's our choice as Canada, as Canadians. Do we want to be leaders or do we want to be participants? This is an active choice. You look at all the major space missions, including Canadarm. As amazing as these feats are, we have always piggybacked and been participants. And we're capable of so much more. I mean, with our GDP, with our status in the world, our history, technologically, culturally, economically, we should be leading, and we must. So maybe just like linger on that for me a little bit. Participation versus leadership. Where do you stand on that? And why did that kind of resonate with you so much?
Yeah, I guess that was one of the other major reasons why I joined NorthSpace. Again, going back to, it was great having mentors. There was a great opportunity to develop my skills at MDA, but there was always that next gear that, personally I wanted to get to. And with a team, I wanted to get there, but, that wasn't, the environment, or, it wasn't a goal that we had there. And so at North Space, I felt that goal was there. I felt that spirit was there. It's like, hey, let's do the next level thing. It's great that we did this stuff in the past, but like, what can we do now? Where can we, push the boundaries? So that's where I was coming from.
And I guess that's a luxury a company like NordSpace and startups in general can have. We can take risks that others can't. I'm sure there's larger companies out there that would love to take on an initiative like this. But I think when it comes to like building rocket systems, right? These are inherently extremely challenging, extremely, on a relative scale, they're risky, financially, technically, and that's something that people with uh, that are able to kind of accept that risk, technically, financially, and in every other way, can go for. And if you've looked at every kind of rocket program in the past, whether it's the Americans or Russians or all the other companies, the rocket labs and all, they were started by people that were kind of early in their career, still believed in the impossible, and were really willing to pour everything into it. Now, you come to us with a lot of experience. I love saying, we have Dr. Hubert, we have others on our team from Rocket Lab, RFA, SpaceX, MDA. We have a lot of experience on our team from these very mature companies. Um, and I always feel like you sort of undersell your experience sometimes. You have a lot of experience, especially in the electrical and avionics side of things. So tell us a little bit about the rocket. I know we've tried to keep things as simple as we can. Um, but also it's a rocket and it's complex.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it is complex. It's one of the other reasons why I joined, because like I've never done rockets, and it's one of those things that I wanted to ever, you always wanted to work as a kid. You see the rockets flying, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could like have an opportunity to work on rockets. I mean, it's great doing robotics for space, but again, it goes to the feeling of we're just kind of participating.
Yeah,
We're just like always, oh, can you please do this for us, and we'll put a payload. I was like, we never kind of be like, you know what, we want to go on a road trip and we're going to go here.
we're always piggybacking.
Yeah. So yeah, from the avionics point of view, also from a technical point of view, I wanted to also push the boundaries on how avionics was done for space applications. I really wanted to go more modular. I know everybody thinks, in space you have to have custom boards and everything's custom. But I always felt like there was an area where, you could have, little modules that maybe some are off the shelf, some are custom made, but not too complicated, very simple. And then you group them together, stack them in layers, like little buildings, and, little building blocks. You have toolkits in your belt, and, you take some out, you configure them a certain way, and you get something, some kind of behavior. So that's kind of like, my approach that I had for Taiga. And I think so far it's paid off well. It for sure is pretty reliable. I mean, there's always problems I have to fix, but like I'm glad that the team has seen that approach, and that approach has been pretty successful so far.
I think one of the cool things about people with a lot of experience like you is not only have you seen a lot of things, but um I've noticed that people like you and our team, you know which rules to break, which ones to bend, and which ones to like follow to the T because you've seen it all, and that allows you this flexibility. You're not, we sometimes we'll hire junior engineers, and they're so excited about the technical challenge because they've never done it before. They'll want to design, say, a PCB from scratch because it's new and because they've never done it and they want that experience. But if it's something you can acquire, or if it's something that's a commodity, our mission is so much bigger than any specific subsystem. So I really appreciate your approach where you're able to figure out, because of your experience, where we should, build from scratch and where we shouldn't.
Yeah. And it takes, you're right, it takes that little experience, because there are a lot of off the shelf boards. You could buy them everywhere. They all do similar things, but uh even within this, you have 5 boards that do the same thing, but they're slightly designed differently. So you need to know which one to pick and which ones to stay away from. So I guess that's where my experience comes in. I know, there was a situation where there was like 10 boards that I could pick from, but then, when I looked at the features that I wanted, there was only 2 that I could pick from. So, and again, I guess that does come from experience, and yeah, I'm glad that helps us.
Yeah, it's super valuable, super valuable. Well, David, I don't want to hold you back too much. Do you have any kind of final thoughts that you'd like to share with people, across Canada and the world that are listening to you and are following our mission?
Yeah, I hope you guys, this, inspires you. I know it's inspiring to me, even though I'm on the same team. But yeah, like always, It's great to I think it's good to honor what was done in the past, but I feel you shouldn't get stuck with that. I feel like you should try to find the next level and push on that. And you see it a lot in companies. One example is the BlackBerry. When I was growing up, I remember seeing them. They were in their heydays, and then you kind of stop dreaming. You kind of stop trying to find that next gear, and then somebody else comes by, and you're left behind. So at NordSpace, I hope we keep that spirit alive. We always want to keep pushing. Of course, there are times where you have to, slow down, take a temperature check. But, always, I think it's about having that spirit of like, hey, what's next? What else can we do? What's the next big thing that we could do? And not losing that spirit.
I totally agree. I think in addition to the rocket and the satellites and the robots and everything else that we're going to be building at North Space over the coming years, I think the thing I'm most proud of and is working with people like you, like our team. I think we're building a very unique team here that'll set a standard for Canada in terms of ambition, culture, and just go-getter attitude. One of the things I love about being here in Newfoundland, and one of the reasons we chose it, is we felt it right from the start, where the default reaction for people here, just like our team, you get an idea that might sound crazy, but your first reaction isn't to close off and say no. It's to like, okay, yes, let's figure out how to do this and let's work the problem, not shut it down. And I think we need a lot more of that. Um, and the fact that you're such a free spirit, the fact that you're so talented, is one of the most important reasons I think that we're going to be successful as a company and as a country. So thank you so much,
Thank you.
for everything you do.
Awesome. All right, I'll get back to that rocket.
Let's do that.